Hey guys, it's your best fight friends. I'm Kelsey. That's Rachel. Rachel, Dana White has sided with Khabib against Conor McGregor. What do you think about that?
Well, here's the story, right? So Khabib had said, Conor and Dustin want to go fight at 170. They're not getting him next. That's not the way to a title shot. Today, Dana said the same thing. If they're going to fight at I think he said, furthermore,
That the fight at all had to be at 155. Basically.
Yeah, he said a fight at 170 was meaningless. So he agreed, yeah, you're going to fight at 170. You're definitely not getting a shot at Khabib. Furthermore, he may not agree. That may not be in the contract at all that they need to fight at 155. So, what do we think about that?
My opinion is that Dana is suddenly playing hardball with Conor McGregor.
It does appear
because
that way.
Dana White is still upset over McGregor sharing those private text messages between the two. And I think whenever you do something like that, when you take a swipe at somebody the way that Conor took a swipe at Dana publicly, but Dana's miffed about that. And so now, because Dana's going against something he very well did in January when he allowed Conor McGregor to fight Cowboy Cerrone at 170 pounds. That fight shouldn't have been at 170. It should have been 155. And yet it happened at 170 because that's what Conor wanted. As far as not allowing fighters to meet at different weights, I feel like that's suddenly a new rule based on Dana White's the current situation that he finds himself in. Because I don't think there's any harm in allowing two 155-pound guys to meet at 170 because it keeps both similar-sized guys from having to cut weight. However, I mean, the UFC can choose to operate its business however it wants. Mm-hmm. I do think that Khabib's hardline is his opinion, and that it is also reasonable to suggest that, hey, they have to fight at 155 if they want to fight for a belt. With the caveat that it's really not Khabib's ultimate decision. I don't think it's the UFC, it's Khabib, and everybody coming to the best idea about who's next. I know that Khabib already beat Conor McGregor, so he feels like he's already done with that, and that's a fair assessment of the situation. Fair. He wants to fight maybe GSP next, and I think that will be a big fight. So those are my opinions, Rachel, on the situation.
All right. Well, just to comment on various things that were going through my mind as you were talking. First of all, I just want to take Khabib and his, what he wants to do and kind of set it to the side because I think it's reasonable that he's fighting Justin Gaethje next. If he wants to fight GSP after that and then be done, that's totally, that can be his timeline. That can be his wants and desires. I don't know if what will happen because obviously the UFC makes these fights and so they have to be part of the equation. But to just, move that to the side for a second, I do agree with you that it kind of seems like Dana White's playing hardball with Conor McGregor specifically.
All of a sudden, yeah.
Or not just him specifically. Sometimes it seems like he's got some issues with some different fighters and he's not as flexible.
Oh, yeah. That's why Chris Cyborg is no longer with UFC.
Yeah.
It's not because she...
With some different fighters. Now, I will say this, going back to when Conor McGregor shared the text messages, I remember seeing those, screenshots, right? And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that's not the thing to do.
It's not but what I did is I went, oh, you can't just share somebody's text messages with you. That's private. And when I went and read everything, I was like, although the texting back and forth did seem very casual, and I didn't think anything in it made anybody look bad, except if I was not Conor McGregor, I might be like, why isn't Dana White texting with me about making my next fight? Because I imagine that the UFC handles their fights in a certain way that Dana White's not personally engaged with every single fighter out there. Mm. And so maybe that's not a good look. If I were Dana White, I may not, like that. But I didn't think that, and I didn't even think that Conor McGregor did it maliciously. I thought Conor McGregor was just expressing hey, look, I tried to get fights made. I don't think he was thinking how Dana White might feel. He was just saying, hey, here's everything that's happened, and now I want to do this with you, so let's get it done. See? I've been wanting to fight. And, I don't think he thought about, what that would be like. Now, to talk about, I guess I feel two ways about this. On the one side, I feel the UFC, they want to say, hey, we have weight classes for a reason. If you want to fight in this weight class, then you're in this weight class. It seems like if you have champs and you have like, you know, stuff like this, that maybe you're not beholden to that. And so I don't quite like understand it. And then furthermore is that, well, fighters gain a certain amount of like popularity, notoriety. They're like they're driving pay-per-view buys, right? They're driving, like they're a huge part of the UFC making money and being successful. And here's the thing. If I'm a fighter at 155 and then the fight the people want, the fight that's going to make the most money, like whatever it is, happens to be with a guy who previously fought at 170 but now is going to come back down to 155 and fight me, who cares? Like, defend the belt, you know? Like, who cares who your opponent, what weight class he's coming from? Like, yeah. I understand not giving just any, like, you know, Joe Schmo off the street, like, a chance at your belt. But, like, you can't tell me that just because Conor fights at 170, immediately preceding, like, a possible fight with you, that he's not entitled to, like, fight for the title at 155. Like, you could say other reasons. I already beat him. Totally, like, reasonable to me.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand because if you make him come back to 155, then what's the harm in that? It's actually harder for Conor to go up and down like that than it is for you just staying right there.
Yeah, and I mean, for part of me thinks that Khabib's hardline stance is really aimed at making it as hard as possible on McGregor. And I mean, I'm sure if the UFC brings a truckload of money that Khabib's never seen before, and all the good that can be done with that amount of money in somebody's life, that he would want to fight McGregor again.
Maybe he also might.
Although it could be a Joe Frazier / Muhammad Ali situation.
Yeah, I don't want to fight this guy. I don't like him. I don't want to bring him any more notoriety. I don't want to be a part of that. I also think that is a fine and legitimate reason. I feel like saying because he fought at 170, now he can't fight me at 155 next.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
That's why I was surprised to see Dana White. I was like, really? Like this to me seems like a made up issue.
Yeah.
I get it from Khabib's stance because you're like, you know, you don't like Conor McGregor, so you're gonna say all sorts of stuff. So you
pick like whatever it is out there, and here I'm building my case.
But to hear Dana White, the promoter, I was like,
it doesn't.
Who cares what
that line doesn't make any sense to me. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know. I mean, obviously we're not in charge.
We are not.
So
we are not.
Not yet. We're not in charge yet. Once we get to, you know, a few more subscribers, probably. Probably. Anyway, thanks for watching our show. I'm Kelsey. That's Rachel. This is Real Talk, and you've just been real talked.
Okay.